This is part 2 of the fruit tree of emotional growth. It's a second deep dive, a 10-minute deep dive, and it's going to include the sturdy trunk of practices and then 3 additional processes of development illustrated as branches where the fruit of competent adults is growing. I covered the roots in part 1, but this time part 2 is all about the branches. And as you will hear, we cannot and should not protect kids from the challenges of everyday life. Because when children grow up in lifestyles where everyone caters to their every need, their emotional maturity stalls, gets stuck in immaturity. In fact, even as adults, if we get to do whatever we want, whenever we want, or we narrow our perspective on the world to think that we hold the full truth, we are all-knowing, we have cornered the market, then our emotional functioning erodes. So yes, attachment relationships are the roots of all growth. And as we move up the tree, we can look at the sturdy trunk. There are 3 practices listed here, and this is my personal work. So these are detailed in many of the wolfewisdom.ca materials. Each practice defines patterns for adults and whole schools to use over and over again. Patterns to see through a relational lens, listen with emotions in mind, to talk and choose action with emotional development as the priority. These are the 3 practices needed to continue to cultivate the tree roots of attachment. But then additionally, sustain and maintain relationships with kids, tune into their developmental challenges, and build their ability to reflect, think again, and manage mixed emotions. Wolf Wisdom designs custom presentations and workshops around these emotion-focused practices and any of the 10 infographics that I offer. So contact me if you're interested in a proposal for professional development. Also, you can find videos and blogs about the 3 practices on YouTube and my website. But right now, this deep dive continues by connecting the roots and fruits of this metaphor. So give your full attention to the tree branches to look at 3 additional processes of emotional growth. And just for your information, there are several research and theory genres which all have their unique perspective on emotional growth. But I think the most down-to-earth framework comes from the Aboriginal Circle of Courage. So I'm going to use it here. First, the Aboriginal Circle of Courage speaks to the importance of attachment roots in the outcome of belonging. The roots of attachment are presented in part 1 of the fruit tree. And second, the Circle of Courage speaks to the importance of adaptation in the outcome of mastery. Yes, individuals will become overwhelmed by the challenges of life and sink into feelings of futility when efforts reach a virtual brick wall. But the wonderful outcome of adaptation is the mastery in becoming a more flexible problem solver, because all environments have their hidden rules and real constraints. Adaptation evolves competence, resilience, self-control, and personal conviction. Adults need an understanding of adaptation as mastery, because the process of adaptation is loud and messy. It evokes strong emotions when facing setbacks and suffering in life, or even when facing new responsibilities and challenges as we age. Plus, there are no shortcuts for adaptation. We all have to face hard knocks and reality of death and disease. Truly, whatever doesn't kill us can make us stronger. And third is the importance of emergence in the outcome of independence. Individuals given the freedom to explore their preferences and their personal interests or areas of natural aptitude will fine-tune their skill, their goal setting, their focused attention, sustained concentration, and critical judgment. Emergence experiences are enjoyable and constructive, giving one feelings of growing autonomy, responsibility, and creativity. The outcome of independence is no small matter, because this is the formation of self-identity and pondering one's life course. Adults need an understanding of emergence as independence, because this is the route to authentic self-esteem. Independence energizes us to keep improving our skills, pursue new learning, be creative, and set lofty goals. And this can look like selfishness at times when we are pursuing our own interests and honing our own skills to the exclusion of others around us. But we can't truly have self-esteem if we're not feeling competence or independence at times. And fourth is the importance of integration in the outcome of generosity. Individuals are almost universally ready for integrative functioning during the cognitive shift of ages 5 to 7, known very recently to be a developmental shift point. In fact, Italian researchers headed by Del Giudice report that the endocrine system triggers brain growth, with the result that children entering school are ready to see multiple perspectives in their expanding world. But also, the hormonal changes relate directly to sex differences showing up as gendered play, with generally boys preferring to be rough and tumble in comrade groups, and girls' play being more caregiving attachment style. Now, these are big generalizations, and of course, children can be atypical with gender expression and even be rejecting or explore their gender preferences. Developmental theory considers this age group to be the move toward reason and responsibility, when even young children become very capable of helping behaviors. They feel the value of giving back or being meaningful to others and to the community. This is the birth of altruism. However, not every 5 to 7-year-old is capable of this shift, and we can all appreciate that moral development in this way is an ongoing journey. Adults need an understanding of integration as generosity. Otherwise, we will ponder why our best attempts fail to teach ethical reasoning, or we fail to teach moral decision-making, critical thinking, and altruism, because life experience is the best teacher to stretch toward reflection and feel the dissonance in dilemmas and issues. Now, I find it useful to get a sense from each student if they are showing signs of openness for relationship, because that hints at healthy attachment. I look for evidence from this child that they're able to adapt to the constraints on them throughout the day, at least in little ways so far. And I want to see energy for play and learning as emergence. Plus, I'm looking for small acts of kindness or generosity to peers, which is evidence of integrative functioning, even at the youngest ages. This gives me the confidence these processes are alive and reasonably intact, that they can be nurtured and they will grow. So just to review, the 4 processes of emotional development are attachment with the outcome of belonging, adaptation with the outcome of mastery, emergence with the outcome of independence, and integration with the outcome of generosity. How do we achieve these developmental processes to bear the sweet fruit of responsible adults? Well, these processes occur naturally as ordinary magic when family and school cultures are a good enough fit for kids. But it's crucial to know that we can improve environmental fit for children and teens by using those 3 emotion-focused practices when these are not my kids. These are someone else's kids, or less resilient kids, or they're vulnerable kids, or disconnected kids. Yes, whole school cultures can be overhauled to fit kids better by resetting any number of negative patterns the kids fall into. Resetting these into positive patterns to support development using those 3 emotion-focused practices. Relational enhancement to improve and maintain relationships with kids by bridging emotional disconnects. Developmental attunement to witness the current biggest challenges to this child or teen as they grow up. And then we can design supports and accommodations. And the 3rd practice is emotional coherence, to draw out mixed feelings and scaffold toward reflection so life becomes more comprehensible, manageable, and meaningful to kids. The goal is emotional development. And I love this topic. This is part 2 of the fruit tree of emotional growth. So listen for part 3 next week. Wolf Wisdom always attempts to highlight that we cannot grow up for our kids, but they cannot grow up without us.